Hello. I'm gonna do a quick tutorial on a fun braid that I did on a bridesmaid this weekend. So I had a wedding party and I had two bridesmaids and they were fun because they both let me do what I wanted. And one just kind of wanted a fun braid. So anyway, I'm gonna show you how I did it because it turned out pretty good and I would love to just give you a little tutorial on that. So what we're doing with her hair is I'm working on hair that's already been prepped and curled and texturized and everything, and I'm just gonna show you the technique more than how I'm gonna finish and do all the waves. So you can do curls, waves, whatever you want with this. I'm just gonna stick with this kind of beachy wave because that's what I've got going on my mannequin head to start. So the first thing that you wanna do is just arrange the hair at the part the way that you want it, and I'm gonna do a braid on one side, a braid on the other side, and then I'm gonna connect them in kind of a fun way in the back. So once you get the front and the crown sectioned how you'd like, so I don't need a lot of volume, I just have a side part. I'm just gonna do a soft French braid on one side and then a soft French on the other. So I'll start over here on this side and I am going to just take kind of a rough triangle section off the top here, and then we're just gonna do a really loose braid going back. And as always, it helps sometimes to have product in your fingers as you're working. So if you have some pomade to use in your fingers, if you have a little bit of a smoothing serum, that helps to keep control of your braid. So I'm doing a regular braid to start, and then I'm going to start using the French style. So I'm going to gather hair from the crown area, and I'm just going to hold it super loosely. And I'm not gathering hair from the bottom. I'm only gathering it from the crown area because I don't want to take any of the hair from the bottom because I want to have all that hair down to show off my waves and have a lot of hair left, okay? So that's why I'm only taking hair from the crown. So I'm just gathering a little bit as I go and adding it to the French braid here. And once I get to the middle, I will stop. So I'm just going to cross over the braid and finish it off, making sure I don't have any hair caught up into the braid. And then before I put the elastic in, I'm just going to loosen it up a little bit because I love how that looks. So we're just going to make it softer by pulling this out. And my best tip for you on having a really effective kind of piecey, chunky, textured braid is by using a lot of product. So make sure your hair is prepped really well, and when it's prepped really well, then you have much more success with pulling and creating more texture in your braid. Okay, so got my elastic here, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch to the other side. So let's scoot on over. Here we go. All right, so same thing. I am going to section off just kind of a rough triangle. So I start at the temple and go back towards the center. So that will help me to divide the hair. I'm going to divide it into 3 parts here. And I like to hold it really loosely. That is also a tip for braiding, is if you hold it really loosely in your hand and you don't pull it hard away from their face, then you get a really soft look around their face instead of seeing kind of a harsh line with unnatural pieces pulled out. If you hold it really loosely and follow the hairline, you'll get a much softer look that just looks more natural and more beautiful, really. Okay, so I'm just starting with a regular braid, and then what I will do on my next set of crossovers is I'm holding it super loosely, and I'm just going to gather some from the crown. So like I said, because I've texturized this already, I've used a lot of product and I've curled it. When I go to pull it into this braid, it already has a lot of great texture. If you don't do anything for prep, then you're going to have a flat top that doesn't have much going on as far as interest or texture to it. So you want to do that first. So once again, I'm not gathering hair under here because I want this to stay thick, okay? I'm only gathering hair from the very top. And because I laid out this hair before I started, meaning I arranged the crown over the top of the head, then this hair falls really naturally into this braid. I don't have any weird parts or anything. Okay, so then when I get to the center here, before I put my elastic in, I'm going to just loosen this up. So I used some Kenra texture spray before I started. So she's got that going on in here. I also have flexible hold hairspray that I brushed through so that as I pull this out and make this nice and chunky and loose, it sticks and it wants to work with me and be nice and chunky. If I did not have any of that texture spray in there, then this would not look as cute and piecey as it does. All right, so it looks nice from the front, see? It's nice and soft. And now I'm gonna take these and bring them together. So you wanna make sure that all the hair is out from underneath. So you only have your two sections and make sure they're pretty clean. And what I wanna do then is bring these together as one. So I'm going to hold them loosely in my hand and then put a new elastic over this one. So I just like to use the little clear elastics that you can get at a beauty supply store, or quite honestly, you can get them like at a food store or a drug store. I'm gonna wrap it around twice. And then I'm gonna remove this other one that I used on my first braid because I do not need that anymore. All right, now that I have this beginning, so now you can see these come together. I have my ponytail right here, and you just want to make sure these are nice and even. Pull at any pieces here that you need to make sure that the braid looks really good. So you can see how, since I laid over this crown area, this looks nice. There's not any big split there or anything like that. So these are what the sides look like, all right? And now I'm gonna create my kind of chunky braid going down right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna divide this hair in half first. So I'm not half side to side, but up, down half, okay? And I'm gonna take the top half and I'm gonna just clip it out of my way. So let's find some clips. Clip that out of the way. And then I'm going to split the bottom. So I split this, and then I'm gonna let this back down, and then gather this together. And I'm gonna put an elastic right here. And then you can put it around once or twice, kind of depending on how thin or thick the hair is. This one needs to go around 2 times. Okay, and now I'm going to put my fingers in between this split that I just made and flip this through, just like that. So now that I've done that, I want to use a little more texture spray. So I'm putting the texture spray in, and then I'm going to gently loosen this up. So you just want to pull at the twist to make it a little bit wider and loose. And you can tighten up the bottom and just loosen this up, okay? Now, you're going to do the same thing again with the hair underneath, okay? So you're gonna take the hair underneath, split it in half, and bring it around to the front, and put an elastic in right here. So I'm not gathering any more hair, I'm just working on the hair that I have here in this ponytail. Got the low battery sign, oops, close that, all right? And then do the same thing. So I'm gonna flip this through. I'm gonna spray it with some texture spray, and spraying with that texture spray just helps control any frizz and makes this look a lot cleaner. So I can tighten this up and pull it out, and it just keeps it piecey without being frizzy, because you really don't want this to look frizzy, right? All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and repeat that process again. So I'm taking the hair from underneath, I'm splitting it in half. So this is the section underneath, splitting in half, bring it around to the front. And then getting another elastic, and doing the same thing. So if you have hair that's even thicker than this, which my which the gal did this weekend. It was really great because this was super, super chunky and it just looked really cool. I think this still looks good on this mannequin head, but it's definitely not as cool as the real deal with real hair that was just really, really nice and thick. Okay, so now that you have this, we've got two things going on here, right? So we have this kind of cool looking braid, and because I pulled out each of these sections at a time, and then I pulled up the next one up next to it, you hide the elastics, all right? If you have a gap in the elastics, or a gap so you can see the elastic, then what you can do is take a bobby pin and go in underneath. So I'm taking my pin, I'm pinching the elastic, go up inside of it, behind it, and just push it up into the braid there. And that kind of brings them together and hides the elastic. So you can kind of weave a bobby pin in behind, all right? Now the other thing I want to do here is I want to cover up this elastic and I want to cover up this bottom elastic, okay? So for the bottom one, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to wrap it around, but I'm not just going to pin it here. I'm going to actually kind of tie it in a knot. So the way that I'll do that is I'm wrapping it around, okay? And then what I'm going to do is weave this through by using a bobby pin. So I take the bottom piece, wrap it all the way around, and then I'm knotting it through by taking a bobby pin, grabbing onto this hair, and then I'll pull it through like that. And then you can tighten that a little bit so it covers your elastic down here. And then I can take the same bobby pin and I grab the hair behind underneath, and I'm just gonna put this bobby pin up into the braid that I just created. And then that covers the elastic down here. And it also hides that end. So if you need to use a couple bobby pins kind of in the back, that just kind of hides the elastic and hides that extra pin away. So the thicker hair that you have, the better for this because it's easier to hide. So you just kind of use the hair behind and you put the bobby pin straight up, and that will help to just solidify the look and hide the elastics. And then the last one I'm gonna do is around this elastic right here. So I'm just going to take one section of hair here. Thank you for the videos. Oh, thank you so much for saying so. I really appreciate it. I love doing these videos, you guys. Please give me suggestions if you want more. Okay, so this one here, I want to wrap around this elastic. So I'm going to bring the hair around to hide the hair, or hide this elastic right here. But before I do so, I'm just going to back comb underneath a little bit and then bring it around, and I'll smooth it so you don't see any of that back combing. And then I'm wrapping it around this elastic, and I'm actually just gonna tuck it up underneath with the bobby pin. So I'll grab the hair with the bobby pin, like so, and then go up and underneath. So we kind of get that out of the way. And you might need one or two to make sure that it stays put. But that way you can kind of hide that elastic right there in your updo. And then you can kind of just spread that out if you need it to be a little bit thicker. But that totally hides that pin and kind of goes with the flow of the rest of the braid. So this is just a fun idea to make a little bit, something a little different, something a little boho. And it looks cool with hair accessories too, but this was a great look for my bridesmaid who had super thick hair, because I was able to do the braiding first actually and get this all done, and then I just had to go through with my iron and kind of tweak and curl the bottom part underneath rather than spending a ton of time curling before I started. But you get some great texture if you go through with texture spray and you use a clipless curling iron and you wrap the hair around that first, and you get a lot of good texture in there first, then you can really piece this out and get a really chunky, cool braid with that. So anyway, I hope that this helped you out. If you have any questions,